everybody.
Hello.
I'm gonna preface with I'm not a teacher or a public speaker, so please bear with me.
You are now.
I am.
Yeah, you are.
All right, so this is gonna be just like the basics, as with most of our disciplines, like the technology and the real big technical stuff is out there for you guys to access. So if you have any like more specific questions than what I cover, feel free to ask it at the end, but this is going to be the bare bones basics and some troubleshooting stuff. All right, so first and foremost, the basic types of fixtures. We have floodlights. Those are the ones that we're gonna, mostly use for uplighting. We've got pards and fresnels, soft edge wash lights. We have profiles, which are our licos and things that we use for hard edge and to cast shadows. That's more of a lighting design and concept thing. And then also moving heads, which are the best thing ever invented, and I can't wait till they take over the world.
We
So
have like a bunch of
floodlights.
those planned, right?
So floodlights are going to be like Color Force 72s, Color Force 12s, like those kind of bar uplights. If you've ever looked on the bottom of them, they always have little arrows. That is because of the type of lens that's on most of them. You have your hexagonals, which is that finer grit looking, and then you have your like the square diffusion. That helps the throw be like short throw, long throw, which is why they're good for sights, curtains, drapes, whatever. We all know the basic setup. So on the bottoms of the lights, they do have arrows that tell you which way to face them so that they're actually properly focused. I can't count how many times I've looked down the line and seen lenses going left, right, and everything.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, your shorter one is going to be your far field. So you want that facing your audience so that it has the farther throw. And ideally, if you ever get to plan a setup, you do want them top hung and on the ground to get like a full even coverage.
Right.
Go to the next one. We have your car lights, the super basic ones that we see all the time. They have a oval-shaped beam and a soft edge. There's not much control that you have on those. You usually can take from the back of the light and actually turn the lamp itself to kind of edit your field if you ever need to, but thankfully we don't really come across these very much anymore. It's mostly the LED parts that we have nowadays.
Right.
Still not much control over where you go, but they do give you an even wash.
They still Are they still
No, not anymore. They have a pretty basic shape. Sometimes certain brands will have like an adjustment towards the front of the light that kind of fakes it.
Right.
But for the most part, they're pretty simple nowadays. Next, then we have Fresnels. These are mostly used in film nowadays, but you can tell the Fresnel is based by the type of lens. Fun fact, they were originally made for lighthouses by a guy named Fresnel. But these have a lot more control because usually there will be like a focus on the lens that you can push it closer and farther away from the lamp, which will give you either a super narrow beam or a wider flood wash, and then also you have barn doors that attach to them so that you can actually isolate certain parts of the stage. You have a lot more control over a stage wash than you would with just bars. And I'm going to get out of the way of the screen so that I'm not blocking it. Actually, I think I'm blocking it still. Sorry. All right, next.
Next.
Yep, next. All right, and then we have our profile lights, which are our licos and follow spots kind of fall in that same category. Those will be your sharper beams that cast like a defined shadow. You can harden the edges of it, which also gives you the option of gobos and breakup patterns and things like that. With most of these, also, they're actually called ellipsoidal lights, not licos. It's kind of like the whole Kleenex effect. Lico is a brand, but it's the more standard name. But you've got your different degree lenses on licos. The smaller the number, the harsher the beam, and also like the brighter it will be. The more you diffuse that beam, the lighter it's going to get. So you've got a bigger throw zone, but especially whenever you're thinking about how far your truss is from your stage. What's up?
What are those?
What's up?
The ones on the floor. What are those?
These ones are 26s and 36s. So these are LED Licos, which are also still a profile light. Which actually, as I'm talking, I'm going to kind of hang these. But they're connected to each other. Sorry. I righteous. Anyway.
I have a crystal wrench if you need it.
Oh, you're good. These have the easy ones. So you've got a lot of beam control on these guys. Once again, good for specials and focal points. What's up?
And you can tell what degree the barrel is with the sticker on the side.
Yeah. Most of the barrels will be labeled. They should have some sort of print out. You've got 19s, 26s, 36s, and 50s are the most common, but you can get into 70 degrees, 90 degree lenses, and things like that. Once again, bigger the number, the wider the throw, but dimmer the light.
Right.
You have a lot of beam control on these because you can focus them in and out to be a soft edge with easy blending, or like I said, hard profile, like, you know, say you have a podium special or something that you want like popping right there. You have shutters on each of them to adjust. And then, like I said, you can slide the barrels in and out to adjust not only the size of it, but also the hard and soft edges. With gobos, remember they always have to be backwards and upside down. It's always a fun game to play with.
Almost like the way your eye actually works.
Yeah, the way that your eye processes light. Actually, if you take a barrel, which I might let you guys do if you want, and look through it, it actually flips everything upside down just to your naked eye looking through
very
it.
cool.
Yeah. Moving heads. No manual focus needed. You don't even need to touch the dang things. They're great. We've got two types of movers. We've got washes, which have the similar feel to pars and Fresnels. They've usually got pan, tilt, and zoom, and frost, which will give you those hard and soft edges, and then also spots, which behave like a profile or a follow spot with that hard edge, and usually have gobo options. Some of the higher ends have also shutters to
So wait, let me ask you this now. So when you say gobo options, is it built in, or do they allow you to assemble them?
You can actually do both.
Oh, I didn't
a lot
know
of
that.
them, well, a lot of them will have, they have a mechanism in there that's like a gear.
I didn't know that.
And it will have these tiny little gobos. They're a lot different than the ones that you'll see in the
that
but you can make custom ones. You can swap them out if you need to. I don't recommend digging in there if you don't know what you're doing, but wonderful thing about YouTube, it's all on there. That's how I learned it. It's pretty simple. It's made to be swapped out.
Do you have to use a particular material, or
you usually have to order them from like Roscoe and like, you know, the certain companies that make it, but it's usually a little glass plastic ring, and then it's literally only that big that goes in there. They usually have about 2 gobo wheels worth of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Next. Installation and troubleshooting. So does anybody have any questions further about types of lights and what they are used for and things like that? We're good on that? Not that anybody
I think
gets to design
we'll
plots
ask
right
more
away.
once we get to see hands-on.
All right, so then we're gonna go over how to read a basic plot, mounting and positioning the lights, and then power and signal, and some troubleshooting that usually occurs with that. Next. I could not find a good plot online, and unfortunately most of my companies, they'll delete the plots afterwards, which is great. But I did find some basic ones. Usually you'll find things like the layout, where your truss is laid out, where the lights are laid out. Most of the time they will have measurements. I love it when they do. Most of the time they don't. When they do not have exact measurements, symmetry and like balance is always the key. You want it visually looking like everything is like evenly spaced, starting from the same ends. And then also a plot will also tell you which directions each lights are facing. Some of them might be pointed toward the stage, some towards walls for other things, so pay attention to things like that. Over here, you'll see, they'll usually have different symbols for each lighting fixture. There'll be a key to show you, but for most plots, you'll see a unit number on the fixture. That is just a identifier, a name. Personally, every LD is different, and that's why lighting is so hard to teach and talk about, because everybody has a different way of doing it. Personally, like me, I'll sit there, I'll make my upstage truss 3 digits, and then I'll make my mid-stage truss a 4-digit number. So usually there's some kind of
delineation.
There's like, you know, I'll make all my wash lights 100s, all my movers 200s. So usually those fixture numbers will give you some sort of keys, because that's also what the programmer is using. They'll be like 202 through whatever.
So you know what particular area is supposed to cover.
Sometimes it'll just tell you fixture like types and whatever, all within just that unit number. Then you'll have your address, which would be, I have on that second one that says the 1.001. Addresses, the more universes you have, that's, what's up, Christian?
I don't understand why there's a period.
Yes, so that first digit is going to be your universe. So whenever you're looking through plots,
Okay.
pay attention to that because that will tell you what's up.
What is a universe?
A universe is, so I will get a little bit more into that, but a universe is about, it's 512 channels of DMX. So you can only fit that much within.
So it's
like,
pretty much like the source where your power is coming from.
Data. This is more
Data. Okay,
So,
got it. Data.
So the way the universes work, you can only have 512 channels. So you're going
Okay.
to have to split up your lights and stuff like that. Some LDs will just split up. Okay, I'm making one trust one universe, one trust this universe.
Right.
2 days ago, I did one where all my Mavericks were one universe, and then all my other lights were two.
Okay, so when you're splitting up by universe, you're doing it so you don't have power overload, right?
It has
or
nothing
something
to do with
like
power.
that.
It's
okay.
just
Oh, data. You keep saying
Yeah.
data.
And
Okay.
I'm gonna get into it, but the way that you read addresses, that first before the decimal will tell you what universe it is.
Okay.
The second set of it is the actual address number
Okay,
that
got
you will tell the light, and that would be its like
okay.
unique thing, completely different from a fixture number. And I'll dig more into. I have like a few graphs that show the way that it lays out. But say that you have 2 universes on a truss, you can sit there and read the plot. What's up?
Go ahead.
You can sit there and read the plot, so you'll see like, oh, okay, all these lights are 1 point whatever. All those are going to be connected together.
Right.
Whereas any of them with a 2 cannot be in that same
Which
chain.
we know is
Yeah.
daisy chain.
Yeah.
Connecting
yeah.
together.
So you can't have 2 universes on the same daisy chain. It will
Okay,
not work.
okay.
They will be getting information that they do not need or
Right,
want. So
got it.
always pay attention to that, and you can tell, like I said, by that address number. Sometimes if a production has their shit together, they'll have a sticker on each light
Right.
with this exact information on each fixture, or you can reference plots and they will have that as well.
Okay.
So does the fixture tell the board what universe it's in, or does the board tell the fixture? Or does it?
It's both, actually. Yes.
Well, wow.
So yeah, and we'll get into that whenever we talk about addressing
Okay.
and channel modes. So yeah, so either way, the first digit is the universe, and that will tell you which ones are going to be daisy chained together, and then also like where they're going to terminate in whether it be nodes, splitters, or the console itself.
Gotcha.
And then it'll also give you data and power information, which is that last one. I just used the example of A1. Most people they'll label their sockos with a letter, and then 1 through 6 for the breakouts. I'm pretty sure we've all set those up.
Yeah.
And when in doubt, ask your LD. Like I said, everybody's got different labeling systems, different ways that they like to do fixture numbers and addresses, and ways that they set it up. And it can get kind of crazy. So when in doubt, ask your LD. But the basic things that you will see on a plot: measurements, spacing, addresses, fixture numbers, and possibly a power plan, if they plan ahead. But so mounting and positioning lights, mostly you want symmetry and balance. So first example of balance would be you take this light right here, the truss starts to tilt.
Right.
Right? So when hanging your lights, we usually use like a zigzag pattern. Oops. There we go. So people will hang like a couple in the front back, front back, front
Right,
back.
right.
We've all set that
And
up.
that's to help balance.
Yep.
Balance the trucks.
So that'll keep the truss from rolling and keep
Yeah.
everything even.
Okay.
But when I'm talking about symmetry, you want to start from the center,
Right.
and you don't want your 2 center ones to be a front and a back. So usually you would start with 2 center.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm hanging them here just to keep the balance right.
yeah. Right.
But yeah, so see,
So
we
you
got
gotta
our
see it?
front and back.
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
Yep, it fixed itself.
Yeah, I did.
Turn the light hang like that.
Are the
Yeah.
lights relatively balanced front to back? Like if you start pointing them, will
They
change
should
the
be.
weight?
Usually though, if anything is going to be heavier, it's going to be the back end.
Okay.
But most of them are designed for that. But yeah, okay, so I did symmetry and balance. Like I said, you want everything evenly placed and back and forth and truss to keep it balanced. And symmetrical being,
Right, yeah.
we've got our two center lights kind of towards the front or towards the
Right.
back. Like I said, once again, ask your LDs what their preference is.
Right.
And normally you'd be adding a safety chain, right?
Yes, which I'm, yeah, our next one is safety. So little things, and once again, with people's preference, sometimes I like to hang lights upside down if I've got my Licos facing like this. I might have my cables up, just once again, personal preference. Technically the light is upside down. But to go with things like safety, you want to make sure that your safety is on, and also little things like this.
Oh, look, so you
Gravity.
see what she's saying? That's how you know it's upside down.
Yeah.
By
So
that
little
lock.
things, yeah, like little things like this. Gravity, you want to always just have it on your side if possible.
Right.
So whether this
So-
was put on upside down or we decided to hang
right.
the fixture upside down, think about things like this.
Right.
You've got this little clamp, usually there'd be a gobo holder in there.
Right.
If this clamp were to fail,
Or gel frame
your gel frame will
will
fall
fall out.
onto the
Yeah,
ground.
it could
and
hit, it could
somebody.
injure someone, yeah.
So you just want to go ahead and turn these barrels
Yeah, just turn the
upside down
barrel
so
around.
that clamp is working in your favor. You know what I mean? Even if it fails, it'll still be holding
Yeah, there you go.
with
Alright.
that.
It'll fail without.
It'll fail and just no one will find out.
Yeah, because there's little frames.
So look, see, she's turning it around now, so
Yeah.
gravity will work on your
Yeah.
side.
And then personally, I always like to keep the screws on the bottom because most of the time we're on ladders and
Yeah, and it's easy to get
focus from
to.
below.
But you know why now? You know why didn't you do that, right? Because back in the days, those lights used to get so hot.
You'd burn
And you
yourself
would
up.
burn yourself reaching over trying to do that. But they don't get hot like that anymore
Yeah.
now.
The bigger ones can and will.
Yeah, they will
Also,
burn the shit out of you too.
a pet peeve of mine about safety sometimes, but unfortunately a lot of these companies don't have the proper safeties, is that it's actually there in case this part fails.
Right,
So if you sit there and wrap the safety around this,
Yeah,
if this fails, this fixture's still falling out of the
Right,
oven now.
absolutely.
Most of these have, which actually you can see right here, there's an actual clamp
Yeah,
on
there you go,
the
yeah.
fixture itself. So the way that I usually will do it is I'll take it, I'll run,
run it through.
if it won't fit, see this is why I don't,
Yeah.
no safety.
And you use your clip part to go to the
Yep,
light, the
exactly.
fixture itself. So
But
it's just
you want the
looping
most
it.
movement possible, so I'll
Yeah.
usually stick it through that little loop and then find that clip
Yeah, there you
and get it to
go.
the actual fixture. Sometimes your safeties might be long enough to actually get a little bit if you want to wrap it around the yoke also, but your main focus, if you can, is to get it on the actual fixture.
Yeah, because that's the most dangerous part.
Yep.
That's the heaviest
But
part.
unfortunately with Encore, most of our safeties are like this long. So if that's all you can get, that's better than nothing. All right, talk about safety. Oh yeah, and then also, don't do this if there's gobos in there, because the gobo slot is right up here on
Right.
the front. So if there was gobos, I would never hang the lights like this.
Yeah, you
But if
can't
it's
hang
a
it
stage
upside
watch,
down.
sometimes personal preference, I like to hang it upside down to make it neat. I'm just throwing stuff at you that might pop up. Focus slack. And say, you're gonna be pointing these lights most likely down, which is thankful, but you always want enough room on these wires so that you can freely move the whole thing. Nothing pisses me off more than trying to grab a light and everything is pulled so tight that I
Right.
can't,
Yeah.
you know, then you start ripping stuff down up there, you might unplug something, and also just tension on the cables isn't good. Sometimes whenever I'm hooking stuff up, I'll actually angle the light at the most extreme that it could possibly go, and then set it up and do my taping and stuff with it, and then that way you know for a fact you've got more than enough room. And then checking things, all the bolts, to make sure that everything is loose enough that you can move it around freely and you're not sitting there wrestling, but it can be locked off securely if it needs to and not continue moving. You don't want it so loose it's gonna fall,
Right.
but you don't want it so tight that you have to call somebody else to help you wrestle with it. And then, any more questions?
Wait,
on
let me-
this part? What's up?
Can I say this?
Yeah.
So back in the days when we had the conventional lights like that get hot and stuff, So we would cheat by not tightening them, like she's saying, you don't tighten it too tight. And we actually had a long pole, and you actually would go to the light and touch the front of it and just to manipulate it, just slightly.
I do that at the Toulouse.
Yeah, see, yeah.
I'll sit there.
And that's just to stop you
I
from
hold my
having,
focus stick.
you would get so tired of running up and down the ladder, you know? So
Yeah.
you would actually, and they called it the bang stick, you know? And it was just for that purpose.
And then once again, just always defer to your LDs. Just ask questions. I would always rather people ask me a million questions and do it right than to assume, and then I've got to sit there and take the whole crew. And I hate doing it because I hate being the one that has to do it. Take all this down and ring. You know, it's...
And like you said, ask the LD.
Yep, 'cause-
Don't listen to what the guy next to you is telling you. You have 20 different people who have 20 different things.
Exactly. At the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah. You're right, absolutely right.
Like you know, you know, stop talking.
Also, if the LD is pissed that they have to answer a bunch of questions,
There's usually
One-
an L2.
one, that's on them. Two,
Right.
it's usually an L2. And three, it's usually not personal. They're more mad that they don't have somebody who already knows it.
Right,
They
right.
didn't hire you.
Well, that's why I'm so excited that today's happening, because I'm literally approaching this as what I wish people knew
Yeah, man.
walking in.
Yeah.
And now is the time to ask questions and get, you know, because I do feel bad whenever I'm upset and stressed out on a job site
Right.
and people need help, because everybody starts at different
That's
places.
right.
I'm not mad at that people don't know. I'm more
Right.
mad that things work better planned out. But
And if someone's mad at you and you keep asking them questions,
Right,
because
it's
you
worse.
asked you to get the job done, they're honestly gonna respect you for just getting over it.
Right, for real,
Getting
you're
the
right.
job done and working through it.
You're right.
There's some stupid questions, but for the majority, they are not stupid.
Right.
And then also a good rule of thumb whenever you're hanging lights and fixtures, especially with shutters, open the shutters before it goes in the
Always.
sky.
Always.
Ideally, I always try to have my lights tested before they go up in the air, but sometimes life doesn't work that way. Video
Right.
needs to get their screens up, something happens,
Right.
but you want to see the light on. So yeah, just double check.
We've had that they put up lighting trees, and then they were all
Those,
panicking, going,
man, those lights are
only
brand
2
new.
out of 6 work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, trying to use the shutters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they were
Put
like,
it on the ground. Push on it.
well, every time we start the lighting tree, I'm like, turn it on before we lift it.
Oh yeah.
But they were like panicking, and I walked by and I said, see those little black things, when you get up on a ladder and open those, oh, all the lights.
So you're saying if there's something in front of the light,
It was still in there.
It'll look like it's on.
Magically, it looks like it's
Yeah.
all
It's still like a thing, you have to let it out a little bit.
It's like it's.
Yeah,
So-
and we could go to the next slide too, but I'll answer a few more questions. What's up?
So is it practical to have like a hot spot where you could like literally bring the light and just like see if it'll flash before you assemble?
Yes, and also sometimes with data, you need to just take that light down or bring the console over to it,
Gotcha.
which we'll get into on in a
Yeah,
few slides.
okay.
So we can go ahead, okay, so power distribution and troubleshooting. Power in general is a whole class on its own, so
Right.
we're not gonna get too much into it.
That's why I kept asking power questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
RCI has
Nah.
an amazing power class, by the way.
Yeah, who?
RCI.
Okay.
Or at least they used to, it's been a
Right.
while. But yeah, first and foremost, label everything. Like I
Right.
said, sockos and power are usually labeled with letters first, and then 1 through 6 to
Okay.
do their breakouts. Label the connections, especially the more runs. When you have a show that you have up to R, you will want those letters. Don't just sit there and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put the R6,
Okay.
put the
Let's
F6.
go back to that. So labels are for.
Everything.
Not the label. The alphabet is
Yes.
for which
So
one?
each socket run,
Yeah.
do we all know what socket is? It's about 6 circuits worth of power. It's
Right.
Those big, hefty ones that we
Yeah.
all hate freaking pulling out.
it's got a 15 pin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
those ones are usually labeled from the PD. You usually have a letter
Right.
out of it.
Right.
And then, like I said, there's usually a breakout that will have circuits 1 through 6.
Okay.
Just label everything. Sometimes on bigger shows, I will literally send one person to specifically go and do that.
Right.
Like, go pull out 100-footers.
Right.
Put A on both
That's
ends.
right, yeah.
Put B on both ends of it.
Right.
If I know that once it gets onto the truss that we got 50-foot, 20-foot, whatever
Right.
ran out,
Right.
I'll even have them sit there and label those Edisons, A6, A2, A whatever, both
Oh, got
ends.
it.
So
Okay.
that way when you're troubleshooting and you're digging up there
Yeah.
and things aren't working, you can look at every connection and see
Right,
that, oh,
easily.
this is the, you know.
Right,
Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, but I implore, try.
It goes
Right.
across the board with everything.
Yeah.
Lighting and power is the place where I've seen people get upset about types of tape.
Mm.
When does that matter?
I'm not one that gets upset about types of tape because I've just had to work with whatever, but E-tape is always the best bet.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
use it to tape all of your connections
For
or
labeling, should you use these?
gaff tape for like.
Gaff
tape, yeah.
Sometimes even like what I'll do on a connection is I'll actually put a piece of gaff across both plugs. That usually holds it secure enough
Right.
that you can't accidentally unplug
That's
it
right,
and then boom,
yeah.
you've got your label right there. When messing with power, especially with feeder and socket pecs, keep your knees off the ground, keep your feet flat, and secure all connections. That is the biggest danger that you can have is a loose
Okay.
piece of socket up on a metal truss.
right.
Because if that connection slips, this whole thing is a problem. Be sure that you know your non-dims from your dim circuits. Video people know this. If you accidentally hook up a projector to a dimmer rack, you're
Right.
going to blow that projector up.
Right,
And same
right,
with
right,
most
right.
LED lights, they cannot handle a dim circuit. Once again, where labeling comes in, it's super handy. When I have dimmable circuits, I usually like to pick bright colors like red or orange to kind of do like draw a little bit more attention to them. And then also knowing to balance the power between your three legs. You have your three circuits. When you hook in your feeder, you have your red, your blue, and your black.
Right.
You want to balance power through all of those. The old school dimmer racks and old school PDs, you actually used to be able to open them up and you could hard line to manually balance your loads, but either way, you want an even pull of power on all three of those legs. So if you do have to make up a power plan as you go, keep that in mind that you want, even if you're just like intentionally spreading it out and you could fit them all on 3 circuits or 2 circuits, just even it out, because anything that is imbalanced in that will ride on the ground and it will overheat. So say that you have like 16 lights on 1 and you have 2 lights on 2 and you have
Gotcha.
nothing on 3,
Right. Ooh.
all of that will sit there and ride on the neutral and it could possibly overheat and blow your PD. But that's more for an entire power class. But either way, just try to keep things even.
The types of lights matter with that as well. Because
Yes.
the LED lights take significantly less power. So if you have all of your conventional lights on one leg and all of your LED lights on the other leg, it may be the same number of lights, but it's not the same amount of power.
Yes, and also whenever you have conventional lights, you'll be messing with something else entirely, which would be your 24 channel, like a dimmer rack. And those ones will usually kind of have everything
Yeah, right.
wired within it. Yeah.
Can you explain what a dimmer rack is?
So a dimmer rack is for more old school lighting for the incandescent bulbs, and you can have dimmer racks or dimmer packs, which are just smaller ones that you can even just throw up on the truss with
Yeah.
the fixture. So that one is going to be whenever you have your like Fresnels and old school ones, you will run signal to the dimmer rack, and then you will have usually 24 channels, or you can even hook up a Socko to that and run that up, and then have your 6 outs, and then they will be controlled from the board as like a single channel kind of thing. And say you have a 24 channel dimmer rack, you'd actually patch that as like one whole fixture kind of thing. Usually when we get into this, I'll show you guys where it's at. But it's just used for old school lighting to have like a fade to them. They don't have color changes and things like that, so that's how they get their signal.
So are you telling the LEDs digitally, basically?
Yes.
To turn fewer or more lights on,
Yes.
or have it
Yeah.
at different intensity?
Yeah, all of these would be on a non-dim circuit.
And
They
then
need to receive
dimmers.
the same amount of power.
Yeah, dimmers
So,
literally give a different amount of power, and that's how you're changing
Yeah.
how bright or
yeah. Thank you. But yeah, it's literally fluctuating the power. So say if you accidentally hook up an LED or a projector or something like that to a dimmer rack, I'm familiar with that as well. And then too many fixtures or breaks on the same line. Anytime you daisy chain two DMX together, you want to treat that as another fixture because that connection point is another signal drop, signal drop, signal drop, signal drop. So one of the big things whenever you see signal degradation and where it gets really confusing is because it doesn't look the same as a bad DMX line. Sometimes it'll be literally a cluster of lights in the middle of your run freaking out and then like two of them at the very end behaving perfectly. You get what I'm saying? Because usually if it's a data issue that like there's a bad cable or a bad in or out on the light, it'll be everything after it in the chain.
Right. I've seen that.
Signal degradation looks similar, but like I said, it could have like stuff further along in the chain that's doing totally what it's supposed to and then just everything in the middle freaking out. You want to find your first problem light, unplug, and then slowly plug in each light. One at a time. You need to make sure the next one is unplugged because if you accidentally plug it in the whole chain, your problem starts all over again. So you can find out where it starts to lose its signal and starts to start that feedback loop. But ways that you can avoid that is using signal boosters and opti splitters in strategic places within your line to boost the strength. Say you have like you're only using one universe and you have truss lights and you have ground lights. Throw a splitter in the back, run the ground lights off of one line, run a separate line up into the truss. You don't need to put all of that together. They also have terminators that you can put on the end of the line that will also kind of silence that feedback loop. If you have like a particularly long line, that's just a whole nother little thing. You literally plug it in the last out and it'll help kind of silence that back chatter, keeping it away from your power lines when possible. That's why a lot of riggers will sit there and go behind you and they'll put the Socko towards the front of the truss and they'll put all of your XLR and DMX towards the back to try to keep that EMI down. Same thing when you're running lines backstage, things like that. Just try to keep signal and power separate across all departments because it affects video, audio, and lighting equally. But yeah, I think I addressed anything real quick on data troubleshooting before we move on. What's up?
What's like the average headroom for a signal?
I would say I usually try to cap it at about 19 lights on a line. And like I said, I consider every single break in the DMX as a fixture as well. So that's why you try not to do like a bunch of 5-footers together because that is going to also give you a loss. And I can't remember the exact math on it at the moment, but like after a certain amount of feet, you also want to throw in boosters, which is why I'm saying if you've got a big room, do your home run to the back of the room, and then throw a splitter back there, and then have everything feed out from there. You don't need to have it all run a giant loop around the freaking Marriott ballroom, you know, all
so
in one
is it
way.
like a balancing thing then? Like
Yeah.
The signal strength?
Yeah, you just want to throw one, you get as far as you can go, and then you throw a booster on there, that way everything is repowered, And I think HDMI has a similar thing where you have to throw boosters and stuff, but that's why we use SDI.
In video, it's called reclocking.
Huh.
In video, it's called reclocking.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next one. So now here's where we get into DMX protocol and the whys of DMX addresses. And one of the biggest problems, I've had people sit there and DMX and address every single light, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't always work that way. So DMX protocol is a series of 512 channels, or a universe is what it's called. So 512 channels is a universe of DMX. Each fixture gets a unique address, not to be confused with the fixture number. Like I said, fixture numbers are strictly for labeling, and so the programmer knows what lights are what. Each fixture gets a unique address, which the first is the first channel of its footprint. So whenever we get into channel modes or personalities, each light has kind of a different name for it, but all pretty much the same thing. It tells the light how many channels of signal that it's going to take up, whether it's 3 channels, 5 channels, 32, 109, whatever.
So one light can take up that many channels?
One fixture can take up like hundreds of channels, especially if it's a pixel light. whenever you get into stuff like that, it can eat up a lot, which is why sometimes, like I said, you'll have multiple universes on a single truss.
Really?
Say if I've got big Maverick movers, those ones take up about 32 channels in their regular mode, and then I've got a bunch of stuff that's only like 3 and 4 channel.
Okay.
I'll throw all the 3 and 4 channel stuff on one universe by itself, and then I'll put my Mavericks all on their own universe so that I know that they're together. Makes wiring easier to tell your crew. Big mover lights, daisy chained, all the other lights separate daisy chained.
Is that because of the data, the functionality of that particular unit? Oh, okay.
So here,
Got
I found this handy dandy little thing. So
Okay.
this is an example of, like,
Okay.
say these are the channels, the DMX channels.
Uh-huh.
I cropped it at 19, but like I said, a
Right.
universe is 512.
Right, wow.
So this is each fixture. Fixture number 1 is a 6-channel fixture.
Okay.
So channel 1 is going to be its dimmer. Channel 2 is going to be red.
Red.
Channel 3,
Green.
green, blue, whatever.
Blue,
So
white.
its footprint is going to be 6 channels. So if its address is 1,
Right.
you can't address this one as 2.
Right.
You need to address this one as 7.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
got
You
it.
need to keep in mind that occupying space of each light.
Oh, God, wow.
Because each channel it sends like an 8-bit value.
So it's a multiple of.
Yeah, so each channel is like an 8-bit value from 0 to 255. Not to throw too many numbers in y'all's direction, that's not, but like it sends a number along that single channel.
Okay.
And it just blasts that, and then the light itself reads it as this, which is why I said earlier, you've got to tell, it's not necessarily just a signal from the board to the light also needs to know what it's trying to read.
Right.
And that's why you have to give them each their own unique address, so the light itself knows what channels it's supposed to pay attention to, and the board knows what it's sending to each light.
Ooh,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like this is a pretty good little visual. So say
Yeah,
if you accidentally do fixture number 2 and address it as address 6, everything that's going to the strobe information for this light is also going to be going to the dimmer information of this light. And that's when you're going to get stuff doing just weird crap.
Oh, geez.
And then you don't understand if like one light is just the wrong color, but it's doing the wave at the same time. It's probably either in the wrong mode or its address is just one number off.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
I
that's
see
when,
that.
yeah, that's why a lot of LDs will do that rainbow color chase.
Right.
That's one of the easiest ways to tell, because the color mix will be off, or it'll be like strobing instead of doing a color mix, and that's because it's getting the wrong information or like an overlap. What's up?
So do you have to program the offset manually, or is that going to be like per model dependent? Or chunks and blocks of what you're going to offset with?
Well, you don't even really need to do an offset. Offsetting is kind of a little bit more advanced than if you're like changing plots. But like I said, once you decide what your channel mode is going to tell you how much space to give it. It's like, okay, all the LECOs are in 10 channel mode. So that's going to tell you right there that all your LECO addresses are going to be 10 spaces apart.
10,
your
20,
first
30.
is going to be 1, your next one is going to be 11, your next one is
11.
going to be 21, and
Right.
it'll
Oh,
take
okay,
up
got
10
it.
spaces. And this, like I said, this is a really good visual right here if you want to take a picture of it. But the way that the light knows how many channels is either the channel mode or personality. Different light brands have a different name for it, and when we come up here, we'll go through this particular fixture. I'm going to set them up wrong in a minute to show you what they look like. And then this next is just a little bit more examples of DMX footprints. And once again, those lighting manuals will tell you exactly this information. Can I get the next slide? So, like right here, I got this is like the DMX information from Maverick Spotlight, right? And it'll tell you, channel 1 is your pan information, channel 2 is your fine pan, and all these user manuals will break down the individual DMX protocol of each of these lights. So it'll tell you.
Can you share these slides with us?
Yeah, I'll get all your emails and I'll just send out the Google slides. And then this is just another example that it tells you, oh, one channel mode, one channel is dimmer. If you put the light in 3-channel mode, you've got your dimmer, a virtual color wheel, and a color temperature control. Every model, brand, and style of light is going to be different. But once again, you download that and it'll tell you exactly what you're looking at.
Okay.
Most consoles will already have these profile informations in them, but sometimes you gotta make them, which that'll be a whole nother thing. I can go over it a little bit on this console just to kind of hammer home the concept of it, but every board is different, every light is different, every LED is different. It's great, it's super fun. And then here's another one where it's RGB 1 through 4 channels. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 would be your RGBA, red, green, blue, and amber.
Right.
This light over here is RGBW, so it would be addressed a different one. Like I said, you can't take up over here. You gotta address it to the next number. Then you have your red, green, blue, and white. And then your next light, for example, is a 3-channel light that's amber, white, and blue. So you would have, those channels would be that information. 1 channel, like a Lico light or something, would be just a single channel. You would address it to 12. That way none of these things are overlapping. They're not going to get any extra information that they don't need and get confused.
Okay.
And like I said, you have to tell the light what channel mode it's in, and you have to tell the console what channel mode the light's in. And I think my next slide is just questions. Oh, no. Color theory, a little bit. I know that Jacob had a projections class where he kind of talked about this recently, so I'm not going to get too into it because that's a whole freaking thing of its own. But light works with RGB or CMY, which is additive and subtractive lighting, unlike paint that uses red, green, and blue, or red, yellow, and blue. You can adjust the values, just like the channels, 0 through 225, of red, green, and blue to set a static color. Some lights have an amber diode, which diodes is the actual like bulb itself in the light. So if you look directly at them, which we might be able to see if when I power these on and take the lens off, you can actually see the individual diodes. Most lights, the way that they make their white light, they may have an actual white diode, or it just may be red, green, and blue completely blended. And then, like I said, some of them have amber, some have UV. Every light model is different, and it's super fun. CMY is a little bit confusing. That's usually within mover lights. That is subtractive color. So say you put red, green, and blue full blast, you will get a white light. If you put cyan, magenta, and yellow full blast, the light will actually go off. So that's, like I said, additive mixing, red, green, and blue, you'll get a white light. Subtractive mixing is how C and Y works, which will get you nothing.
So the C, M, and Y in your picture there,
Yes.
is that light?
Yes, this is how it blends.
Is it being pushed out in those colors?
Yes, so this picture itself is showing you how the different colors blend. So say if you're making static uplights, which a lot of you will have your hands on, that's how it'll work. You have your green, your blue, and your red. If you bring up your blue and your red to full blast, you're going to end up with a magenta purple color. If you take out blue completely and you throw in green, then you're going to end up with your red and green, which will give you yellow. And color theory. And then when you have all 3 lights, you end up with a white light.
Wow.
So yeah, when we'll play around with that, I'll have you guys color blend on this light without a console. Because most of the time when you're setting up lights, that's what it's going to be, is sitting there clicking around and making it like that. Yeah, that was kind of the whole thing. If anybody has any quick questions before we kind of run over to this board, and then I'll hammer some more of those points in.
Okay, that's awesome.
We're good?
Man, you did an awesome job.
I'm doing okay? Okay, thank you. Like I'm not a teacher or a parent, so.
Wow.
All right, so now when it comes to this part, we need to, usually there will already be addresses. I'm going to patch this real fast if anybody wants to watch real fast and come up here and look at the console. So this is a stage CL. This is most likely what you guys are going to run into on the job, and then breakout rooms and things like that for stage washes. But any console works the same way. You are going to have some sort of patch menu that you can get to. This one in particular, when you boot it, this is what it's going to look like. And then you would go into the patch When you get into the patch, you're going to find your, usually the brand name. So these are Chauvet Ovations. Are they Chauvet? Hold on.
Chavez.
Chauvets. Okay, these are by Pro Lights.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah, so you need to find your brand and your models of each of these lights.
And will every board have that information, or does it send that information to it?
No, not every board. If it hasn't been updated, like the
Oh.
freaking Encore Hog that I refuse to touch that hasn't been updated since 2016.
Okay.
Like ones
No, when I
that
see that box show up, I make a phone call. I'm like, I'm not even opening it. If there's
Oh, wow.
movers, I don't touch it because it doesn't have any of the newer profiles. You can actually make profiles on your own if you don't have like that, which is where looking up those DMX protocols of the individual light comes in handy. Because then you can sit there and you can make a profile on the light if you need to, where you can be like, okay, channel 1 is going to be dimmer information, channel 2 is going to be whatever. Because especially whenever you end up with off-brand lights, too,
Right.
whenever you get those Chinese lights,
Right.
you're not always going to know what the DMX protocol is, because of course lights from other countries may not have the same standard as we do.
Right.
Like clay packies or an Italian light versus like, you know,
Right.
all of them might have, most things are standardized, but it's
Right.
never guaranteed, and that's where the fun thing is. So on this board in particular, you can go down and you can find Pro Lights, which is our brand, boom, and then we've got to find our Ovation Full Spectrum, which is the, sorry, I was messing with Ovations yesterday. Now I'm right.
Yeah, I was about to ask you why you use the word ovation.
Yeah, it's just a different brand.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why I was nervous today. I was like, I get words mixed up constantly. So if you guys want to come here and look, we've got our Eclipse Full Spectrum, which is the type of light this is. And then we have a few different channel mode options right here. So we've got one channel mode. We've got, which will probably just be dimmer up and down, especially when these are being used as watch lights.
Right.
There's no need to get more complicated than that
Right.
if there's not going to be any color mixing.
Right.
Just
Keep
skip
it simple.
Yeah, keep
Always
it
keep it simple.
Yeah, and then you got a 3-channel mode, we got a 4-channel mode, a 5-channel mode, whatever. So, for the sake of troubleshooting and things like that, I'm going to put a 5-channel mode one.
Which is usually good for what purposes?
Say if you were more theatrical sense, less corporate,
Nice.
you might have some color themes, or
Right.
if you want like a good walk-in look. That's not, you know, you can throw a color on the stage that's just not that harsh white.
Oh,
You can
okay,
have
gotcha.
like a nice moody glow.
Nice.
So if
Awesome.
you want more flexibility, obviously
Right.
the more channels, the
Right.
better. You got more color, you got more
Yeah,
options,
character.
shades.
Yeah, character.
And then like, you know, if you want to make it super, super simple, you can set it to 1-channel mode, put all of these on and dress one, and you have one face. So you can also
Right.
double up lights.
Right.
Just do it with intention and know that you will not have unique control over that one light. It's the same as if you take an incandescent like old school
Yeah.
light and put it on the same plug. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to, you can't make it do anything different than that.
Right. Right.
So we're going to put 1 and 5-channel mode just to kind of, I'm going to make something not work.
They say it makes something that works, I got you.
I'm really good at that. This one.
No, it's good if you do that and then we don't. We'll do that.
We know how to troubleshoot.
Yeah, because we'll do that. If it all goes too easy, you're not running anything.
Eclipse, there we go. I keep wanting to look for Ovations and that's me out. Okay,
It's pro, something pro.
Pro Lights. And then the funny thing enough, like little things like this console has a Pro Light and it has Pro Lights.
Oh,
with an S.
so you gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta pay attention to
Yeah, you gotta pay attention.
those
So
very little details.
I'm gonna put 105-channel mode, and then that's gonna be a direct one. Then over here, I'm gonna put the rest. I'm gonna put a generic dimmer. So sometimes, like if you can't find a profile, you can go in here, and usually most brands will have generic.
Oh, okay.
And then they have just kind of some basic protocols, which you guys want to look right here. It looks a little crazy, but you can find out, like, okay, you've got RGB, so that's going to be a 3-channel mode profile. Most lights, 3-channel mode is
Right.
going to be RGB.
RGB, right. Got it.
If you see the letters HSI, it is not the same thing. That stands for hue, saturation, and intensity.
Right,
So it's the first 2 channels are color mixing, and the 3rd channel would be your dimmer.
okay.
But yeah, it's just going to be to pay attention to those different things. But you can sometimes find
Wow,
a
that's
generic
good to know
thing
too.
that will, yeah. Or like, you know, most of the time if you've got Lecos that are on a dimmer pack that are not LEDs, you can just go to a generic 1-channel dimmer. You don't need to try to find out the brand of the dimmer rack that you're working with.
Nice.
You know, but if it's a 24-channel dimmer rack, you need to give it 24 channels. So you need
Right,
to
okay.
you know what I mean? Because say you've got the first thing in line is that 24-channel dimmer rack, and then you have this row of things. This first light needs to be addressed 25. Get it? Yeah. All right, so.
So you know it's gonna go all the way to 1, right?
Yes, and then let me get this, because it's going to, usually the consoles themselves will automatically populate the addresses, which is why usually your LD will either have it done ahead of time, or while you guys are hanging, the LD is going to go over there and start punching stuff into the console, so that by the time you guys are done hanging, he'll have the address
Yeah.
numbers for you.
Yeah, you'll know what you need
Yeah.
to address it to get the effect.
'Cause that's another thing where having to teach people and hold hands during can actually slow things
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Yeah, man, that guy was so pissed. Oh, he was pissed. And I literally told those guys, I was like, dude, I said, hey, y'all don't even have the basic tools. I say, and now this guy he's stressed now, you know? He's stressed, so he don't even want to talk to you guys anymore, you know? And I go, you know, I said, now you're jeopardizing your rent.
So many
You know?
people don't carry tools. And they all go, Siobhan, and I'm like, yeah, I have it. Yeah, I have it.
Right, and I'm like, dude.
But then they borrow them.
Yeah. Oh, no, and guess what I told him? And guess what I told him? I said, basic rule number 1. If you don't have a tool and you borrow somebody's tool, you definitely better get it down.
Yeah, no, someone took my multi-tool. 4 of us in a row, and I'm like, okay, where's my multi-tool?
Right.
All right, and then let me set this up real fast.
Now, what are you doing to set that up?
If you guys want to come back here and watch, I was going to set up like a bad version and then a good version. So, say that we assume that these all are supposed to be addressed 1, 2, 3, 4, and that they're all in 1 channel mode. So,
Usually 5 channels.
well, that's why I'm saying I'm setting it up wrong at first, because I'm going to show you guys what it looks like whenever it's all put up. So, once again, every single light is different. But you want to find something that says connect or signal or setup, or usually it'll just straight up say address. If you guys want to click along, this one is going to be your menu, and this one's going to be your select.
Question, how
yeah.
are these wired into that?
Oh, these are all daisy chained together. So,
Okay.
yeah, so this is the last one in the chain, that's the first one.
Okay, and then I just have one, okay.
Yep. So I'm going to set these all to, okay, so address, and then you're going to tell it DMX, I've got it set to 1, perfect. Then we go back to connect, and then DMX mode. And that's where we're going to tell it how many channels it's paying attention to. So I'm going to set this to 1 channel mode, right? We're gonna keep it simple. This one I want to address it as 2. So I'm going to sit here. Yeah.
And I see a number now, and you want to set this to 3?
Yep. And then
So we
cool.
can
So
adjust,
then
or we,
connect. And then we're going to go to DMX mode, and this one's already in 13.
Okay, I got it at 3.
So I'm going to go down
And I gotta
here.
hit connect, right?
So address my movement.
Put this one in 1 channel mode. Which also, once again, if you download those charts online or download the user manuals, it'll break down what each of the possibilities that this light can do. So this one's going to be 3, and you're going to hit enter. And then you go back, and then you also always want to check the mode, because even though you can never trust that it's going to be the same thing, so then you're going to go over here to connect again, and then
Oh, I
DMX
didn't see,
mode.
yeah, I didn't see mode, I saw DMX.
And then, so now it's 1 channel.
Okay.
And
This
then,
was in 4, but
Yep.
I don't have it in the right.
and then hit
Four.
enter.
Hit enter.
Yep. And then hit menu again, go to connect and hit enter. And then go down till you see, and then something,
There it is.
hit enter.
Good.
And then it's in 13 channel mode, so give me a 1 channel mode right now.
Oh, and then you could go through it and find the one. Oh, there it is.
And then, like I said, if you download those, every light's different, so if you go look up that user
Come on, y'all wanna-
it'll like,
y'all wanna
it'll tell
try
you the details. Well, we're about to do it again.
Wait, she's gonna let y'all do it after she
Yeah.
show you how to
We're
like.
gonna do it again, because I set up a few different things. So,
With
say
manuals,
right
all
now.
manuals are free online. You can always download manuals for free.
Yes.
Easy.
Oh,
Oh
awesome.
yeah, half of my phone's memory is taken
Yeah.
up by just almost every light I've come in contact with. I'll just go ahead and download that real fast, because that'll give you how many amps the light takes, how many daisy chains that you can do before it
That
starts running out of
explains,
power.
does that explain why y'all carry little tablets and stuff?
Yeah,
Where you
also
can
a
put
lot of
manuals
times a lot of times the consoles will also have like a tablet
Oh,
version that you can
okay.
play with. So right now,
Oh, I see.
There we go.
can you open those shutters for me?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Actually, and right here, you guys can actually see the light kind of breaking up. You can see the different patterns.
Oh, this one.
Do you want to point these more that way?
Yeah.
That's all right.
But,
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
and then also I'm gonna, we have 2 different size barrels, so I'm gonna also show you guys how
Okay.
those change up. So now, I address them all to 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, okay, cool, they all came up. But say, I changed the color. Oh no, what the heck is happening? The colors aren't changing, some of them are turning off. That was
okay.
because for address 1, I told it that that was a 5-channel light.
Right.
And now I addressed all these 1, 2, 3, 4. So now they're all getting all kinds of different information that doesn't
Because
actually.
that was taking up 1 to 5.
Yeah. And so now this guy's getting the dimmer information. This guy's reading the red information. This guy's reading the blue information.
Oh, wow.
Whatever. So they're getting a conflict there.
Okay.
So.
So how do we fix it?
One of the other options that we can do, if you want them all uniform, is you can set them all to the same address. So we can go ahead, keep them all in 1 channel mode. We can switch them all to address 6. So many of you want to try to change the address right now that didn't do it last time. You can go up there.
Yeah.
You're going to hit the little 3 line.
So
It's
you
going
come
to
over
give you the
here.
menu.
Press the one on the right.
Yeah. And like I said, all of these menus are going to look different on each light. So never get married to a certain light.
Oh, yeah, because it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Yeah, don't, and, but like I said, don't get married to this exact setup,
You hit menu?
because every brand is going to be different.
Yeah, DMS got a 1 channel mode.
Yeah. And keep it in 1 channel mode, but we're gonna go to, every one of them is gonna be addressed to 6.
Well, when he went back, it went up to address. I think it says, is that right?
He might hit menu instead of enter.
Press enter.
Yeah, I had run on that.
That's right. He has a 6 up here.
Yeah, and then hit the circle, not the 3
Press
dots.
enter.
Yeah. The circle is enter, the 3 dots is
Yeah,
menu.
it's hard to see. We need lights,
No,
man.
it's not.
There you go.
I have a flashlight.
Yeah, I can see it.
There you go, man.
It's not there.
Oh, sorry.
Also, sometimes these buttons are broken, so
So,
that's always a fun one. So, yeah. Okay, no, you're good. That's address 6. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
it just said address automatically.
yeah. So this is an
Okay, so it's-
example of them all being in 1 channel mode and all to the same address. They're all gonna move the same.
Okay.
There's nothing that I can do to make one of these behave different because they're all clones of each other.
Good.
Right?
Oh,
So now we're gonna have another fun. We're gonna change the modes to
okay.
4 channel mode.
Okay.
So say that one's address is gonna be 7. If they're all 4 channel mode, what's the next one's address gonna be?
11 or 12.
11.
Okay.
And then we got 15 and 19. So if they're all in 4 channel mode, keep that spacing.
Oh, you gotta keep the space.
You gotta keep that
Right.
spacing. And we're gonna find out if anybody does it wrong, and we're gonna test it real fast. So
Right.
yeah, change the channel mode to 4 channel. That'll be connect and then DMX mode.
And keep going.
Like I said earlier, some lights may call that personality.
See, none of it's like a program whatsoever, but I've just gotten thrown in on it.
What's your plan?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it always meant to go home and research it, but I was.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, that's what he was asking me to bring like the AFO, which I
You
do
said,
have.
yeah, I just said, yeah,
But I was like,
you gotta go to
if you don't
channel.
understand protocol, that's really overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I do want to do a second class. When we have these in one channel mode. Actually, no, yeah, it was just the way it was hitting the
When
table.
you graduate from uni, or? I know, I
Let's
was
see, what's a way that we can do this that isn't going to
Point
one?
up
Alright, we're gonna turn these lights around real fast. I'm gonna go over just like, so we can see the difference in barrels. We're gonna be really unsafe now.
Right, what you gonna do?
I'm just gonna turn these around real fast, just so we can kind of see. I just want to show you guys the difference in barrels because we do have two different types right here.
Like that?
Yeah.
That's enough. Okay.
So as you can see, we've got 26s and 36s.
This is the 36.
Yep.
No, this
So,
is 26.
yeah. Oh yeah, this is 26. So as you can see, the 26s are smaller and a little bit brighter and have a little bit of a different color value. That's because the more that you diffuse the light, and like the more that you spread it, the less intense it's going to be and it will affect color. So keep that in mind when doing stage washes. Be intentional about where you have different lenses. Like say you want your general stage wash, do some 36s, but say you have a podium special. You might want something a little bit more punchy and you don't need to cover as much space. Throw a slightly smaller lens on that. Then you've got your shutters. You can sit there, make the shape, change it up. Say you're just lighting a specific sign. You can sit there and box it into that big. And then you can sit there, take the barrel itself with this little guy down here. Don't unscrew it enough that it's going to come out because then you risk dropping the lens on somebody.
Right.
But you can sit there and you can soften the edges. If you want something punchy, you can sit there and make that edge hard. If you're trying to blend all these lights together, you want it to have a soft edge. So you'd like pull the barrel out or in, however, to kind of make that easier to blend with.
Wow, put your arm there again and show them what it just did. Look at the colors I was making the
So
white.
yeah, so that was what I was talking about, the different diodes right there.
Yeah.
That's all blending to make white. And one thing that you can see, you can't really see it, maybe if I sharpen it up. You can see what I mean by additive and subtractive, which is actually why I had that really fun picture of that plant over there. If you see it in your shadow, it divides the light up again. And that's when you can start seeing the color
Oh,
reflections.
I see it.
Yeah, so
I see the prism.
yeah, there's a really cool video that I saw one time where this guy takes a piece of paper and you can literally see where the colors like blend and then can completely refract again. So you have a red, a green, and a blue light shining in a piece of paper with a slit in it. And then on the other side, it's separated the lights again through the shadow. And you can also get into like, it gets crazy.
Damn, that's, man.
Okay, so we went through the things that can go wrong and what different stuff looks like if it's messed up, if you've got the wrong addresses or wrong channel modes. Is there any other questions that anybody has? Do they want to poke around on this to kind of see?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, you did the chains,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool.
But also I can show you guys the stage CL a little bit more if you want. Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying not to look at the clock. So, I showed you guys the patch, right? And that's where you go, you want to find your brain, you want to tell it how many channel modes, you get your lights addressed, and then you get to this. We're going to ignore these first two channels because that was my little test. So for this board in particular, you've got two masters. You've got your grandmaster, and on any lighting console, if things aren't happening and you're pushing buttons and pushing fingers and nothing's changing, check the master. Put pieces down.
Maybe all far.
It's, yeah, just like audio. And then this board in particular has a submaster. So this controls this. So even if the grandmaster's up, you can do whatever you want here. This needs to be up. And I'm going to show you when and where it comes into play. So you got that up. You've got these. Say you want to.
So this is almost like not opening your shutters.
Yeah. And this, so on this console, and everything that I'm saying from here on out just applies to this console. Every console is
Right.
So for this one in particular, whenever you're in like the programmer mode, none of these lights are gonna be lit up, right? Each of these corresponds to a single light. Unlike like a leprechaun, if you got the older school boards, each light would take up 4 channels in each of these. That's why I like leprechauns. They have it's a very good visual for channels.
Yeah.
Because like a leprechaun, it's not smart enough to be like, oh, all the light stuff on one thing.
Right.
This would be your red, your blue,
Right.
your green.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? So leprechauns, that's why they're so huge.
Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
white people don't use them anymore. Each fader
Yeah, they're
is
for
one
older
single
lights.
channel.
Yeah, one attribute, yeah.
So now with these ones, it's a little bit smarter. So each
Right.
of these is a single light. You've got your saturation knobs and you've got your hue knobs. So your hue would be this. Your saturation would be how saturated the color is. So, you know, you can kind of fake a color correction if
Right.
you need to. So say you got a more tungsten, like warm wash, you might want to start from an amber and then bring up the white so that you have kind of like a natural,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what's called a tungsten.
Right.
Or say if you wanted to have a more unnatural light for the cameras, specifically like a blue correction.
Right.
Cameras don't really like tungsten light too much. That's why
Right,
on
sure
like
don't.
old school lights, you would actually throw in a very light blue diffusion, maybe even with like a slight blur diffusion. But on these ones, you can kind of fake it by starting out with like a blue or a cyan and then bringing it up, which on the carpet, it doesn't really help very much.
So it's actually the blue light that you just tweaked.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take, not that one.
But the camera, so the camera really still knows that it's blue. It's just that
Yeah.
you just washed it.
Yeah.
So I really don't see it, but the camera knows that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And
that's,
so,
that is crazy.
so like you can kind of see it right there
Yeah,
on
I
the
see
black
it.
floor. You can see like
Yeah.
the warmer tungsten light, and you can see the more daylight,
Yeah.
white light.
Right.
So you can fake color corrections within boards as well. But a lot of lights will actually have their own CTO as a whole extra like channel of information is just to color correction.
Yeah, see, I remember that.
Yep, CTO is, I don't know the
Yeah, it is a color
but
correction.
It's for color correction.
Yeah, huh?
Controlled temperature orange.
There you
CTO
go.
is controlled
Yeah.
temperature. So basically what it is that you throw a CTO on to a tungsten light. Not tungsten light, but a daylight at 56K in order to counter it to make it a balance with the indoor light.
Right.
And then also those are usually measured in kelvins. That's why
Yeah,
it's like
kelvins,
a lot of higher end camera guys will actually go up to a lighting person and
That's
check.
right.
Is that 32K? Is it 64K?
Right,
You know, the higher the numbers, the more daylight it is, the lower the number, the more tungsten. So your 32s are going to look like that yellow, whereas your 64s are going to be more of that. You know, yeah, so the higher the number, the whiter it is, the lower the number, the more amber.
The more amber, yeah. Amber or straw.
Yeah, and then so these are really fun, because you can sit there, this board is really helpful, it actually can kind of make some auto chases, so say, I can only think of football right now for some reason, I'm not even a football person, but say that, you know, you got something, they're LSU fans, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you want to do like a yellow, purple chase, right? So the way that you do that is you can take these and you can actually click through the colors on this board. So you can sit here and another shortcut to it is you can also highlight and it'll change multiple ones at the same time. So you select it and you can move them together.
That's super impressive.
So for this one, if I wanted to save that as a look, I would hit that. Make sure that the ones that I want to are recorded. Say that I had some stage wash lights and I had some up lights. I wouldn't want them saved on the same cues, so pay attention to what's selected. You record, and you tap it. So now, I have a scene. So now we hit this, and we go to the scene page. This board actually has a bunch of different pages, so you can have a crap ton of stuff, or say if it's at a venue, you can have the green page, and you can have the blue page, and you can have the yellow page, and everybody messes with their own page, and everybody else alone. But that being said, now we have that as a look. And then now this doesn't pertain to anything
Right.
anymore. That's what I meant by this really only affects the programmer level, it
Right.
doesn't affect the scenes level. So you can have that. Boom. Okay. Then we can also take this, come out of scenes and back to programmer, select those, and then we can go to chases. You can, let me see what I can do with this. Oh, here we go. So select those, record, and then we have our chase stack right here.
Oh,
We can do that, and then it'll ask you, do you want to build a manual chase or generate an auto chase? So I'm just going to say auto, right? Boom, now it's going to just automatically do that. Now this board in particular has a few different, different ways that you can do it. So this is called a snap fade. You see how it's just jumping color
Right,
to color
right.
to color to color? Sometimes that looks clunky and you hate it. So you can do a half fade. Now that does
oh, wow.
make it,
That looks,
yeah, it looks a little bit smoother, but it turns orange for a second. So that's whenever you have to balance whether you like, because it's going to have to cross across the color wheel. The
oh,
cluster
my God.
together, that's why rainbow fades are
I
always
see
so
it in the
smooth.
middle.
Yeah, but that's why rainbow fades are always so smooth, because it's just going around the color wheel. So
Right.
it doesn't really have any, but when you have contrasting colors like this, it has to move across the color wheel, so it might get a little bit weird. So you might not want to do full fades, because it's like, well, orange isn't a color for this event. That's not part of their logo. I don't like it. So you can kind of hide it with a half fade, and it won't be too obvious. Or, like I said, a snap fade.
But it's really not obvious except because of the way these lights are clipping it though.
Yeah,
If that wouldn't clip you, you probably wouldn't even notice the orange. Cause
yeah.
I've rarely noticed it on here. It's
Yeah.
just for a brief second.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
also has to do with how slow it is too. So if you've
Yeah.
got it super freaking
Oh,
slow.
so you can change it.
Yeah, so
Change the
this one
speed.
has a BPM knob right there. Yeah, and this one's super cool. And just within that little chase, that's why I mean this board, you can use it for busking if you want, because you can sit there and now I can make it, well, it's not really good with this because it's a two-color thing, I might have to make something else. But hopefully it's faster.
Then when they're overlapping, you're getting white because you're getting RGB altogether.
Yeah, well, it's, yeah.
Or RGA, depending
Yeah.
on what it is.
So where it's overlapping, you're getting color
The
mix.
focus, the
Which is,
concentration.
which was very, very,
So if I cheat it over some, it'll help a little.
yeah. But also that's why in old school lighting, whenever you had gels and you didn't have DMX lights, you would actually have 3 lights hanging next to each other, aimed at the same spot with different gels.
Right.
And then the
Yeah.
lighting designer would sit there and turn
Yeah.
on different lights as
Absolutely.
they need for each one. Now we only need to put 1 light in each area.
Yeah, you don't need gel. You don't got rid of gel.
Oh yeah, no, with 3-point lighting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Also,
That's production theory when you're trying to cover, somebody for film or television. We usually use the 3-point lighting,
yeah,
which
you
is
want
key film and
45s.
back.
Yeah, also whenever you're setting up,
That's
that's why lighting towers usually go in the 2 corners.
Right.
It's 45 degrees.
Right.
It doesn't flatten out the face. So whenever you can,
Oh,
you always try to go at a
Side.
45-degree angle from the speaker. Because if
So-
you have a wash that's hitting them straight in the face, not only is it going to blind them,
It's gonna cast shadows, huh?
it's not going to cast any shadows.
Oh, it's gonna wash them out.
It washes
Wash their
you out.
features out.
Yeah, it washes your features out and it flattens.
That's why
you out.
45
That's why
gives you a little
45s.
feature.
So whenever you're laying out lights on a truss, you would actually want to go a little bit farther out than the stage when possible, like maybe 5 or 10 feet off of each of the wings and start your fixtures there
Right.
and move in. That way
Right.
you have those cross shoots. And you always want to try to make an X on every point.
Oh.
If any of you have worked with Freeman,
Yeah.
they're very big about putting out, they'll sit there and they'll put out flags on the stage, A, B, C, and D, and that'll be their focal points. And you try to get a 45 on each of those, so that you
Nice.
have good, even coverage no matter
Right.
where on the stage that your person is. And then, like I said, with the 3-point lighting, you've got your 2 45s, and then you want a hair light. When you've got those black drapes, that sucks you in.
Yeah,
And
it
if they're
does.
only being lit from the front,
Right.
especially if somebody's darker complected or they have
Right.
different clothes on, they
Right.
can disappear.
Oh, yeah.
And
Right.
so
You're
you
right.
want like a hair light.
You're right.
To
And
pop up.
hair lights, you don't want to color correct. You usually want those to stay kind of warm.
Right.
Unless maybe you're doing a church, maybe you want them to kind of have that special
Halo.
glow. But you want that hair light that'll give them that little glow from the back that'll
Right.
separate them from the screen.
Yeah.
So you want to keep it at a 3200K, or you want to keep it at
I usually like to keep them around like 24 to, well, 24 is a little more, but yeah, about 32.
okay.
That's my
Yeah,
personal preference.
32.
Once again, camera people might ask you to do something different.
I like the exterior because, and you know, a lot of people don't use that.
Yeah, it keeps them
You
from
know,
washing out.
because you know, because I do camera,
Mhm.
and we always find a hole or a dead spot.
Oh yeah, your
And-
speaker will always find a hole in a dead spot.
Yeah, your speaker,
So good at
exactly,
that.
your speaker.
Yeah, they are
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
That's like their best talent ever.
Well, no kidding. You're right. You're right. I mean, the LD worked his butt off, doing this wash, and for some reason, the speaker will find this one spot, and it become his favorite spot.
Do you want to be my model for a second, Spike? I'm going to show you guys real fast. So stand right in front of this one of these lights. I'm going to bake your face real fast. I don't know if it'll actually.
Did you go ask
Okay, so say, and this is bad because it's like going to be kind of an uplight, but it'll work.
Well, that's
Oh my
so-
goodness,
You want
look
me
at this
to-
lack of focus slack that I gave myself.
Well, you know you can loosen it with a swing forward, so that'll aim it up anyways.
I didn't follow my own information.
Look at that. See, there you go. See, put your glasses back on.
So you see,
And can you soften it some for him?
no, hard light in your face.
No.
That's my boyfriend, I can do what I want. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is my boyfriend, Spike.
Hey,
He's so
Spike.
supportive, isn't he? So you see, it like,
Supposed to burn.
yeah, it's supposed to burn a little bit. You can turn it down the hair if you want. Just pull all of those, all four of those down.
So, yeah, right there. That's good.
But you see,
That was good.
yeah, but he doesn't really have like I mean, also it's not lighting, but like it's not being super forgiving.
Right.
It's not accentuating the curves on his face.
Yeah, it's not showing any of the
Showing
curves on his
depth, yeah.
face. Versus if you sit there and look from the side,
See,
now we got a little bit of
turn this one.
definition on his
Right.
nose. You know what I mean? And his nose doesn't look like it's disappeared.
Do you want me to cross this one?
Yeah.
You feel it in?
And then now,
Oh.
you know, he's got
It looks
definition
natural.
to his
It looks
face.
natural. See?
But he's also still lit. He's got shadows,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
not,
He's easy.
you know, he looks like a human
So if he
instead
turns
of.
his
Right. Yeah.
So that's why 45s are always your best friend with that.
Right.
But sometimes you don't have the choice. Dead on is,
Yeah,
You
all we
also-
have.
location to put them up,
Yeah.
if you're
The
putting
height.
trees and things, yeah.
Is there a, like, creative effect that you can get from other spaces?
Yes, well, you can get, so if say you have side lights, that very like drama on the side. Then also just backlighting someone can be like a very dramatic thing. Also straight from the top is also a very dramatic one.
Yeah.
Usually you won't get into that until you get into like theater or concert lighting. Most corporate is
Right.
going to be 3 points,
Three
going to be your
points,
best
yeah.
friends, and 2 45s and one from the back.
And do you want it at a 45-degree angle down?
Well, actually, they don't even use
Yes.
backlights too much anymore now.
No, they don't, unfortunately.
Which is weird, you know?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of pure light because, like I said,
I know,
people tend to
yeah.
disappear
Things on
into
45.
the.
Yeah, because, yeah, like she says, they'll be standing in front of a black, and they could be 3 to 4 feet in front of it, 10 feet. And for some reason, they'll literally blend into the background.
But that's probably why a lot of people, they're starting to go to the gray grade.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
middle
possibly.
gray grade, that more and more people are doing.
Right.
But yeah, and you guys actually did miss the beginning, so I was gonna get into because he knows I was gonna share my slides. Because I did talk about like the different types of lights and like what they're best used for and why.
Good job. Thank you.
I don't